Good morning, my dreamers, my goal setters, and my achievers. And yes, you are all three because if you can dream it, you can set goals and you can achieve it. So, if this is your first time here, hi, welcome. It's nice to see you here. My name is Kelly Moore, and I am with More Life Transformations. And I am a career counselor that is developed this channel in order to just provide some helpful tips, some strategies, some techniques in order to help with career development. And that's my thing. I really enjoy talking about career development. I'm that person that people go to whenever they're like, okay, I think I want to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And I love those conversations. So if you are here and you're interested in having those type of conversations, I think you're in the right place. And if you are returning, welcome back. And hopefully this will be a video that you get some good stuff from. So today I want to talk about interviewing. Yes, interviewing is a huge piece and part of job searching, a part of finding that perfect job, right? So I wanted to do a video talking about how to land that dream job in terms of interviewing. So, of course, before you even start the interviewing process, the first steps are to make sure that you are doing a good job search, which I'll do another video just talking about how to go about job searching. But on this video, just to kind of tie it with interviewing, when you're doing that job search, make sure that you are looking for jobs that are what you really want. I know sometimes we get into the habit of just kind of putting ourselves out there, casting this huge net and trying to see what comes up. But of course, when you throw out a huge net, you get back some things that you might not want, right? Like if you're a fisherman and you're like fishing for that great bass that you want, or whatever fish. I'm not a fishing person. I don't know why I went down this train with this analogy. But if you are a fisherman and you toss out that net and you're not really paying attention to what you're going for, you're going to get back stuff that you don't want, right? You're going to get that shoe, you're going to get that tire, you're going to get those things that you don't want. So it's important for you to cast that net in order to find exactly what you want. So with that, make sure that that's what you're doing when it comes to your job searching, and that you are tailoring it for that purpose, and that you're doing research, because that's going to be crucial when it comes time for you to do that interview. Once you are contacted by the employer, make sure again that it's something that you want. There's always respectful ways to decline, and say that, oh yeah, I'm going in a different direction. So make sure again that it is what you want, because you're not going to land that dream job if you're just kind of applying to any and everything and you're willing to accept any and everything, right? So make sure that it is something that you really want. Then once you get ready for the interview, I suggest spending some time really preparing yourself for it. There are common interview questions out there. Make sure that you review some of those. And just to kind of see who's still with me, I know we're only 3 minutes in or so. Go ahead and down below in the comment section, go ahead and put down some interview questions that you've received that are common. And I can also do a video talking about that, like that process of like interview questions, how you would respond to certain interview questions. So in the comment section down below, go ahead and put down some interview questions you've encountered, and then also even some different interview questions that you might not have always encountered regularly. Being in this field and also working as a manager at one point in time in my career, I have asked very different interview questions, and it gave me a little bit of insight about the person that I was interviewing, even though it seemed completely off base and sometimes it threw the person off. One of my favorite questions to ask during an interview, which I know I'm actually going to say it now, would be, I would ask the person, if you had to identify with one of these animals, which one would it be and why? So for example, the animals were a lion, an otter, a golden retriever, and a beaver. So this question I asked very strategically. A lot of people again were thrown off by this question, but it gave me a lot of insight as to their personality type. This is actually actually came from an assessment, a psychological assessment that kind of gets an idea as to personality type. So for example, a lion is very controlling leader, they have those attributes. An otter is very playful. A beaver is very like steadfast, and just when you think of a beaver, you think of that worker beaver, right? And then a golden retriever is very friendly, engaging. So though that question for me gave me some type of insight as to that person's personality type when it came to the workplace. So, yeah, again, share any interview questions that you might have encountered or experienced, whether they were run of the mill questions or those that were very unique in detail to that job. Also, when you're getting ready for that interview, make sure that you prepare accordingly. Some interviews are different. I actually worked for a company where one part of the interview process was actually doing scenarios. Because it was a mental health field, you actually had to go back to your master's degree program mindset where you're actually given a scenario and you're expected to roll with it, right? Like you're expected to run through that. And that was to give insight as to how you would handle certain situations. So it was more so about, okay, how would you fit in this work environment? Because these are the type of scenarios that you're going to experience and encounter. So prepare for that. Those are experiences that you might have. And then also make sure that you go into an interview knowing that it's like swiping left or right, right? They clearly swiped right on you and you swipe right on them if you guys agreed to do an interview. So if you guys are both swiping right, so there's some type of interest there, right? In some way or fashion, you guys are compatible to some degree. At that point, it's strictly just by paper, right? Like just like with a dating app, it would be strictly by the website. You guys are compatible by, picture, what you're saying on your page and things like that. But it's more so, going that next step to interview to see like, okay, do we have chemistry when we're actually around each other? Or is this just, you look good on paper, I might not be that into you once I see you in person and I start to see that you're actually a jerk and you're not that nice and you might not look like your picture. But of course, that interview is going to give that person insight and you insight as well as to whether or not you guys are, compatible in that way. And so keep in mind that with knowing that, you also bring something to the table. So make sure that you are acknowledging that when you go into that interview, right? Acknowledge that there is something about you that attracted them to you as a potential candidate for this position and vice versa. So spend that time to really prepare yourself for questions for them as well because you're getting to know each other. You're trying to figure out if this is going to work. Also, in preparing for an interview, make sure that you do all the things to prepare yourself the day before, right? You want to make sure you research the company further, get some insights as to like what's their mission, what are they about, what are different things that you can learn about them that you can bring when you talk to them during the interview. And that'll also help you formulate questions for them as well. And then, pick out appropriate attire. Make sure that you're wearing colors that are, kind of neutral. You don't want to be too bright, too loud. Same thing with jewelry and, heels and, shoes. Anything that you're wearing, you don't want to be too loud. You want to come off as very professional, very clean cut and put together. You want to make sure that you look nice and that you're prepared in that way. And I always suggest make sure that you pull out your outfit the night before, that you have everything together, you've map quested, you're prepared, because of course you want to make sure that you're on time when you get there. Actually, 15 minutes early is preferable, just to give yourself some time to calm down so you're not running in there, just to make it to the interview on time. And then also, I live by this rule of thumb that my mom told me years ago. She said that if you are 15 minutes early, that means you're on time. If you're on time, that means you're late. And if you're late, then you might as well don't even show up. So really process that and take that in, because that says a lot about you, right? Like if you're coming there right on time, yeah, usually it might take you a second or two to get to the location, right? To find out where you need to go, to speak to the right person to point you in the right area, right? And you have to also be prepared for any hiccups that might come along the way. I know things happen, right? People get flat tires, things happen. You might, get that long light for some strange reason. So making sure that you are on time and you're somewhat early. And even if you have to come early and be in the parking lot for a second just to kind of give yourself time to process and get ready and ask yourself those questions, listen to that music that gets you hype and motivated. I have my running playlist. I think it's important for life to have a running playlist that you have that gets you in certain moods, and that could be, you could have your interview playlist, right? That could be, for me, I think that would be my like motivational music that's like, okay, you got this, girl. Get in there, show what you got. Another thing to prepare for an interview, make sure that you are okay with bragging on yourself. I know sometimes that's hard to think about, really spending time just kind of going over like how you're so amazing, but if there wasn't any other time to do it, I think an interview definitely would be that time, right? Because you're really selling what you're going to bring to the table. I don't know how many times I talk to people and I critique resumes where they have the objective on their resume. And I'm like, no, 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 no. We don't want to have your objective on your resume, because it's not about what they can give to you, it's about what you can bring. So that's, again, goes back to like being able to brag and say like, I can do this, I'm skilled in this way, I bring this to the table. So you want to make sure that you're able to do that, which I will be doing a video about resumes as well, a little bit later. And then also just making sure that you are being that person that, like if you feel like you're a good fit, share that, talk about it. And I think that's the huge piece there, is that you are prepared in that way to do that. A lot of times it's not always what you're presenting, what you're talking about, it's how you come off too. You want to make sure that you're very genuine, that you're engaging. Being an introvert myself, I'm an introvert. Sometimes it's hard to get that energy up, that momentum to really convey that message, because you don't want to come off as flat, right? You don't want to come off as monotone. You don't want to be the Eeyore of the interview process, right? You want to be that person that's engaging, but you also don't want to be super loud and just, over the top either. So it's finding that happy balance is huge when it comes to interviewing. And then also just really showing that you are the person that they're looking for in ways that, other people might not be able to show up, right? So you want to make sure that you're able to be unique in some type of way. I always suggest having certain things that you are prepared for. I think there's certain questions that come in an interview that you should be prepared for no matter what. For example, I know one common question is, use 3 words to describe yourself. That's something that's very common. So have those words right there on the top of your mind, ready to go, and be unique with it, right? Because everybody says the same things a lot of times, right? Like, I'm hardworking, I'm a team player. Say something different. Show how you can be that person. I remember I had this one supervisor who was telling me about her interview process, and she was like, oh yeah, I have impeccable handwriting. And the interviewer was like, okay, that's kind of boring. But she brought it full circle. So as the interviewer was taking notes during the interview, she was like, oh my goodness, I can't read my handwriting. She's like, see, having good handwriting, you definitely can pay off, because when you're in a setting like this and you're having to take notes and things like that, it's crucial, especially in mental health field, right? Like, you're taking notes and you're doing this stuff and you're having to do things on the fly. Having good handwriting can be beneficial, right? So just really showcasing how you are unique and a different type of person is very helpful. So those are just a few of my tips when it comes to interviewing. I definitely will probably bring more to this. I think this can be a whole entire series, because interviewing is huge, and I think there's so many different aspects to interviewing that you can think about, because the interviewing process isn't just getting in front of that person and talking to them, right? The interviewing process is sometimes doing phone screenings and background checks and all of this step work. And what I've noticed as I've gotten older and time has gone on, that when I was younger and, going for those like retail jobs and things like that, like the interviewing process was a lot shorter. But then as I grew into a professional, I noticed that I was going on 2 interviews, 3 interviews, talking to this person, talking to that person, doing interviews with scenarios, doing interviews with multiple people involved. So that looked different depending on the, field that you're in, as well as where you're at in your career development. So definitely probably will bring a lot more. And if you guys have any other questions or things that you want to learn more about when it comes to interviewing, let me know in the chat box down below, and I will definitely look into bringing more videos about interviewing. Thank you guys for your time. Again, my name is Kelly Moore, and I'm with More Life Transformations. And thank you for spending your time with me today.